product design lens, if you're talking to somebody that wants to make a career change or wants to do something differently or sort of step into a different role, how do you advise them? Whether it's a friend, somebody that you're serving, how do you sort of think about that from a product design kind of standpoint?
I don't think I have a single answer to that question. I think a lot of it depends on the circumstances. I think I have different heuristics that I'll use at different times. And so I think some high level principles that I keep in mind when I'm having those kinds of conversations are, I think a lot of people put a tremendous amount of gravity on the change and think it's irreversible. And I think in a lot of cases it's not. I think that, for example, somebody contemplating leaving corporate to go and build a startup, they think that if they step off the train, they will not be able to get back on if they need to. And that's not been my experience. I mean, I think that I know, a lot of my students, for example, from Kellogg came from a consulting background, and then they get bit by the entrepreneurial bug and they want to pursue something, and either works or it doesn't, but it's not as risky as they think. And so encouraging them to kind of think in, kind of 3-year buckets where it's like, I can try anything for 3 years. And if it doesn't work, I can change and I can go back. Maybe you go back and it's lateral and maybe the slope isn't quite as high. But it's not devastating. And then you've answered the question. It's better than having never tried it and just sort of regretting not taking the stab. I think another principle is try to get really clear on what you want your life to look like first, and then figure this out. And this is and it's understandable, right? Like our culture in particular, a lot of our identity is tied up in our work. I think you spend more of your waking hours at work than just about anything else. And so it takes up a material part of your life. But the framework I like to use is job, vocation, work, life. So job is what I do for money. Vocation is what gives me the most joy, which may or may not be my job. And a lot of times, the job can ruin it. I love cooking. I cook for friends all the time. I think I'm quite good at it. I think if I opened up a restaurant, it would ruin it for me. I would hate the idea of making these 12 things over and over again. And it would ruin it. So I have my job, I have my vocation. Work is the sum of lasting good that I create in the world. And so that was important to me because I think especially in venture, there's this idea of you have to make a dent in the universe, which they define as building $1 billion company. And they need you to want to build $1 billion company because the way venture works is based on portfolio theory. I'm going to make 20 bets. One of them is going to work. That one had better be really, really great. And so I need to push you to make $1 billion company. And VCs will be the first ones to tell you, not every company should be a venture company, and you don't have to do that to be happy or whatever it is. But our culture has glommed onto startup culture so much that I think a lot of people think that they need that. And so that work lens was really important to me to have a narrative that is more broadly applicable to people. The make a dent in the universe narrative is candidly a shitty narrative if you are not a startup founder, or if you're if you're a stay-at-home parent, or if you work at a restaurant or whatever it is. And so I wanted to find a narrative that was valuable and helpful, kind of regardless of what your quote unquote job is. And so that is how I defined work. And then all of it ultimately boils up to your life, which is just the person that you're becoming. And so that's a lot more about character and how you want your days to be. And I think that you can find fulfillment in a much broader range of jobs when you put the job itself in the appropriate perspective. And so, I've had conversations with people who are professionals, but they're in tax, for example, and it doesn't connect to a vision or a mission that they feel deeply passionate about. And by putting it kind of in the appropriate perspective, it's well, what do you care about? And they said, I care about serving people and blah, blah, blah. And it's well, you have a team of 6 people, right? You do a weekly one-on-ones with them. Like, what if in every one-on-one you go in with them and ask yourself, how can I serve these people? What if in every team meeting you go in and you ask, how can I serve these people? What if you approach every client with, how can I serve this person? And it's like, it's not necessarily about the spreadsheet that you're working in any longer. Now it's more about making a dent in this person's life, you know? And so I try to help people kind of get real clear on that stuff. And it's like, and visualize it. Like, how do you want your days to look and your weeks to look and your months to look? And like, how does this, what would be a job that would serve you well in that? You know, like the example again is like, a lot of people think that they need to build even people that want to build a company, they think that they need to build a tech startup. And it's like, you need to understand what you're signing up for. You know, like, you are going to be pushed to try to turn this thing into $1 billion company. You are going to need to work incredibly hard and for a long, 7 to 10 year time horizon. And if you're really clear on what you want, and at the end of the day, you want to have your house paid for, and you want to be able to go on some vacations, and you want to maybe drink a nice bottle of wine here and there and put your kids through college, like, there are much, much easier ways to do that than building a tech startup. And so trying to help them get really clear on what they want out of their lives first, and then that can inform, I think, some of the decisions that they make in terms of their careers and things like that.